Welcome back, Inebri-art. This is Andy, as always, and I'm actually really excited about today's guest. I shouldn't say that. That implies I'm not excited about our other guest. That seems like rude, but I am excited today.
But I'm especially excited. I
Yeah.
don't think you should feel bad about being excited to talk to me. I mean, I'm not just I am just a guy on the street because I live on the street. But
Yeah.
anyway, go ahead, Ian.
But he's playing Grandpa Munster in Rob Zombie's new film, The Munsters. Daniel Roebuck, who is one of those actors who's in everything. Like, I was looking at your IMDb list, and it'd be easier to list the things you aren't in than the stuff that you are. I mean, Lost, Fugitive, Matlock, NCIS, Glee, Weeds, Malcolm in the Middle. I mean, there was just on and on and on and on and on.
My hope is that I'm working with some orthopedic surgeons here. My hope is that you'll get carpal tunnel while you're scrolling through my IMDb, and then you'll have to go to track me down. I'll give you names of the surgeons whose payroll I'm on.
That's a good idea.
The only reason I work so much is so that I can create business for these poor doctors who don't have enough money.
I mean, every actor, when they start, they want to be working, and I think they look at the Brad Pitts, and they want to be a movie star. And I mean, you're a working actor, and you're in everything. Like, it was that your intent?
I never wanted to be a movie star. I just wanted to be an actor. I set my sights on William Wyndham. If your listeners may have to look him up, but if you're a guy a little between your age and my age, you've seen him in 1,000 things: Star Trek, Night Gallery. He had his own series, like Murder, She Wrote, everything. And I just kind of wanted to be that guy. And it's been a blessing that route. And I think really what it comes down to is I always knew I was going to be that guy. I think that's the real kind of magic of the world. I speak from a godly, a believer in God, and I know some people don't. You're interviewing me. You interview them. They can tell you there is no God, but the proof to me in my life has been God has always been present and guiding me and helping me achieve this dream.
Do you like that, where you're never typecast? You kind of get a whole mess load of different things.
Yes. Well, Andy, it's great. It's like the great news is for me, yes, I freaking love it. If for the actor that I am, sometimes it's difficult. If the night before they watched me kidnapping little girls and impregnating them on Criminal Minds, when the next day it's some playing a dad on the Disney Channel, someone in the room is like, I don't know, because they don't remember that I was already a dad on the Disney Channel before they got a job at the Disney Channel. I did it 20 years ago, not now. So it's great for me. It's bad for I've got a million opinions on a million things. There's these people who try to sell actors things. That's like, just like they try to sell artists, or they try to sell people who have restaurants or whatever. They're like, the 10 simple rules to creating a restaurant that'll last forever.
Yeah.
And it's always taught by a guy who's never had a restaurant.
Yep.
Last forever, let's say. It's the same thing with acting. 10 simple rules for an amazing audition. You will book, and then you go, well, let's look up this guy who's teaching it. Can't find him. He did 3 short films. He may not be the guy from whom you should be taking advice, right? I went off on a tangent here. I was talking about something else. This is your problem, Andy.
Oh, that's fine.
My brain is. What would I?
Well, let me ask you.
Ask me another question. Maybe.
Yeah. Out of all the roles that you've had, is there one that really stands out as your favorite?
Well, that's like asking which kid you like the best, and I have an answer for that, but it's always different based on which kid's standing near me. I have two wonderful kids, and I love them both equally. So, look, I make my own stuff too, and I would invite your followers to go to a channelofpeace.org. So these are movies that I make. These aren't little movies; these are real movies.
Yeah,
with a family-friendly element of faith. not hit you over the head. Like, I don't want to, I'm not a faith rapist. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm a faith proclaimer. So we make these movies that are just like watching an Andy Griffith episode, or even I was saying earlier today, like the Poseidon Adventure is a great movie, and it's kind of a faith movie because it's about people overcoming this horrible obstacle, and the guy who's the preacher is the one who has to tell them you just have to believe you can do it, and then it'll be done. You know what I mean? But so I make these kind of movies. So I like making those kind of movies, and I write parts that are good for me to play, you know, because I'm not an idiot. I don't write something I can't play. I like those movies. I like playing Grandpa a lot. That's also, I mean, it's the most recent of the miracles of my life, where the thing that I did as a young person is also the thing I'm doing. I've been training for Grandpa since I was 12. I was in a circus. I was a vampire clown, and I was named the Count. So,
no kidding.
Yeah. I mean, you know, ridiculous. Here, like the Count, right? So I'm, that's what I do at 12. Here, I'm going to show you a picture just so your followers don't, hopefully I can figure this out.
Oh yeah.
Now look at that. 12 years old.
And you were in the circus?
Yeah, I was in a circus, Lions All-Star Circus. And the character's name was the Count. And then when Mr. Zombie asked me to play this role, he said, by the way, and now people can see where the story is. You know, it takes place before they're married, so there's no Eddie, so I'm not Grandpa because I don't have a grandson. So I'm, you know, I'm Count Dracula.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, that's how good life is when these kind of blessings can happen. It's been funny to me that of all the terrible, stupid things people said about Rob Zombie's Munsters, which is going to be a joyful, happy, crazy Munsters movie for today, is there when they're like, oh yeah, he just casts his friends. That's why he casts these people.
Yeah, but so does Quentin Tarantino.
And so does Woody Allen cast his wife while he's like, you know, canoodling with her daughter. Like, he doesn't care. So why do you cast? I cast people I like. Anyway, it's funny to me when you're very gracious to talk about all the work that I've done and all the preparation I've done, playing like real people like Jay Leno and real people like Gary Marshall. Haven't I earned? Am I not the most brilliant idea for whoever should play Grandpa Munster? Who else would you ask? I'm the guy.
Yeah,
I've been waiting my whole life. I'm sorry.
It's so funny. It's just like I have friends that have a horror podcast and other people, and they're kind of, I guess, not optimistic about this movie. And I'm like, did you watch the Munsters growing up? Like, it was never scary. It was not, you know, it wasn't horror. It was a sitcom.
I think it's easy to take shots at Rob because this is a thing that happens in this society of ours. Rob is a success on so many levels, an artist creating at so many levels. I think it's daunting for people, and they want him to fail. And Sherry, why shouldn't you be? By the way, we're doing a fun project. I wish I could tell you more about it, but I think Rob's going to have to tell you on House of a Thousand Corpses, which is the only one of his movies that I didn't film on. I didn't know. But we're doing some projects for House of a Thousand Corpses. It's a fun secondary thing that we're doing. Oh, and nice. So I've been watching that, and now watching Devil's Rejects, which I am in, but I haven't seen it for a while. I don't know what the complaint is about the films he makes. I mean, he's obviously making movies he wants to make, and obviously, so it's too bad that you're friends with film podcasts. I think it's like when I played Jay Leno, nobody would have known I was wearing makeup, but at some point, HBO decided to make a point of me being in makeup. Every review was like, and you know, Roebuck wearing the Eveready battery makeup. Nobody would have mentioned it. It had nothing to do with the performance I gave, working next to someone like Kathy Bates. But reviewers, and now that everybody's the online reviewer, it's even worse because just because you have a horror podcast, I hate to tell your friends, it doesn't mean that you have like some magical understanding of the makings of the movie. Or, I mean, even in this case, everybody was like, it's got to be in black and white. Nobody's going to release a black and white movie for families in 2022.
That makes no sense.
Going to do it.
Yeah.
So why even sit around saying it should have been?
Was the Munsters wasn't always in black and white, was it?
It was in black and white. Yeah, you can look. I mean, until they did.
Because then they did the movies later on. Yeah.
Right. The movie was right after the series, and the movie was in color because the series was in black and white because it had to be. The movie was in color because it had to be because no one was going to black and white movies anymore.
Right.
And it was a family movie. So once again, stupid to even assume that it could be different than it was.
The interesting thing about the trailer, I found, it seems like Grandpa's almost like the foil in it. Like he doesn't want them to be together. Is that accurate?
You have children? I
have 2. Girls? They're adults. They're adults now.
Girls either?
I have a boy and a girl.
So I have a boy and a girl too.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter has found the perfect man. And they're happy. Had she not found the perfect man, what would I have done to foil it?
It's fair.
So Grandpa's just like any other dad who's got this goofy guy who wants to marry his daughter. And, Count Dracula was hoping she'd marry someone with money, like Nosferatu, not this goof.
Yeah.
And when you see the movie, you'll appreciate what a goofy is. And he's quite funny. So yeah, like I'm trying to foil the relationship, and that's kind of a fun throwback movie idea.
Yeah,
Rob was so smart. Instead of doing it like, they did 2 TV movies and one was about Christmas, and I'm always positive about everything. But I mean, the Christmas one had great actors, but it was Santa Claus turned into a Christmas pudding, and the elves didn't want to work for Santa Claus anymore, and they were trying to have sexual relations with women. And what the hell does that have to do with anything? But more importantly, it was like situation comedy it's like this American-born brilliant thing where we were like, we're going to make comedy funny in 24 minutes, and we're going to put commercials in, and we got to figure out how to tell the story funny in 24 minutes. So when they do a movie version of the Munsters, the problem is it's a 24-minute idea that's expanded to an hour and a half.
Right.
What Rob did, instead of making a sitcom idea, he went and told a legacy story, which doesn't need to be. It's not a situational, jokey comedy. It's, she's a teenager. He's created. I don't want her to marry him. They finally do get married. I mean, all that's been exposed already. So it's just going to be a fun, different movie. And anyway,
you said you worked in almost all of Rob's other projects.
Yes.
Were you in one of his videos? Was it Teenage Rockstar?
Yes, that's me as the devil. Wait a minute. Look what I have. Look what I have right here, Andy.
Oh, you're the devil action figure. That's awesome.
How wonderful is that? So, Mr. Zombie, is well aware. Well, who knows what? Like he knows I like to wear the makeup.
Yeah,
and I think he also knows I'm kind of a Christian guy. So he calls me up and he's like, "I want you to do a video." Yes, great. Oh, great. And you get to wear makeup. Oh, great. Oh, I get to wear makeup. And you're going to be the devil. And I said, I literally said, can I emasculate him? What do you mean? What if he talk like Paul Land? And Rob's like, yes. Because Rob knows that that's ridiculous, especially because he knew it was going to look like that.
Yeah.
Going to have that being like, oh, I'm the devil. I loved it. I love this. By the way, if you go to my social media or his, got to go back about 2 months when they did the anniversary of that album, maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah.
But we actually shot them putting the makeup on me. So we put a video out finally of that experience.
And that's part of the process that you enjoy. I feel like that would be like an unpleasant part.
Well, so I grew up like being a vampire clown wasn't like that came out of the blue. I loved horror movies.
Yeah.
I love being in makeup. I mean, the process to turn me into that took about 3 hours, 15 minutes plus the wig, 3.5 to 4 hours every morning. And I didn't hate it at all. I'm in my zone. Like you can't, it's hard to explain how. I don't want to explain how happy this makes me because Andy, I don't want the good Lord to go, I've given him everything he ever wanted. I'd love to talk to him about it in person. You know, I want him to think, I got another 30 years and I don't want to wear diapers.
Yeah. You just got to find something else to want to do. Yeah.
Oh, good thinking. Oh, I like your thinking on that.
Well, I think that's kind of a creative mentality is to, once you kind of accomplish one goal, you're already kind of like, cool. Now you're already like looking on to, not that you don't appreciate that. Yeah. And it's that kind of freelancer creative, like, yeah, I got that out of my system. And then you're already trying to like process the next thing.
Yeah. And it's no mistake. I've always been, I was writing plays when I couldn't even write when I was 6 years old. Like I was already doing that. I was drawing pictures and then acting out the pictures with the kids in my class. And so, when I've never been an actor sitting around. People should look up Halloween, the Happy Haunting of America, a documentary I made another one called Dr. Shocker's Vault of Horror, where we did a documentary about people collecting monster toys. I did a series of interstitial programs for Monsters HD. Plus I write for magazines. Plus I write plays, plus I've been writing a book, plus I make a movie every year or two myself. Like I don't sit around ever, and I can't. We go on a Disney cruise. I like that because I like that.
That you're a man after my own heart. Like I can't not do something, and I'm happiest when I have like 14 different projects that like if I'm a little bored with one, I can jump onto something else and kind of just keep the ball rolling and keep myself engaged.
Yes. Do you remember a great Bob Fosse movie, All That Jazz?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the movie, All That Jazz, I didn't realize that I was actually basing my entire life on that movie, but it turns out that unwittingly I did. And maybe I'm not on the Bob Fosse level of directing a big movie, but I've directed movies and been directing a play at the same time and acting in a TV series, but doing my interstitial TV job for another network at the same time, like literally walking off the set, watching the dailies of the other one, picking the cuts I need, going back and playing the character in the set, coming back. I've always done it, even when I was doing a TV movie about that idiot lady who helped us two prisoners escape prison up in upstate New York. They made a big miniseries out of it, but we did a Lifetime movie, Penny Ann Miller and I. And I would learn my lines, I would do scenes, but they would give me a room where I could edit my movie, the first movie I made, Getting Grace. It's just how I've always done it, and it's because that's how he did it.
Well, let me ask you for a bit of advice then, because my friends are always like, "Oh, you need to make sure that you have, time for yourself or downtime or balance work-life balance, blah blah blah." And I find it very confusing because like one of the things that we've been doing since COVID lockdown is lifted is we've been running comedy shows. And so my job, if you want to call it that, is to promote these shows. But I also go to like 5 or 6 stand-up comedy shows every month. And that's my job. I don't feel that needs to be a work-life balance because to me, that's fun. Like that's so much fun just to go and laugh with friends and to build a community. Like, do you struggle with that? How do you handle work-life balance? Like, or is there such a thing?
I think you're talking about something that, we could promote. You and I could go on a tour of this. you don't have to worry about the work-life balance if you like your work. That's if your life and your work are simultaneously joyful, then that is your balance. I make these movies. I mean, I don't know if you've ever made a movie. I write, produce, direct, and star in it. So I'm literally up 18, 19 hours a day working, and I sleep 4 or 5, and I do it again. And every part of that process is of great joy to me. And then, like, I was screening one of the movies for a friend the other night, and I had this kind of epiphany that everything about this exists because it was born here, and it wouldn't have been born there had I not watched what my relaxation that I do when the day is done, watch a great old movie. So yeah. I watched so many, and all those movies went in here, and it's helped me be a better storyteller. It's helped me be a great creator. All the movies I've acted in have taught me how to run a set in a manner in which everybody involved would love to be there. All of it comes together. So my joyful private life, and I'll go one step further. My wife is my producing partner, my editor, my co-creator. My daughter sometimes is my co-writer and co-director. Sometimes she's one of my producers. My son is often on the set, and then my daughter's boyfriend, who I love, I didn't have to tell her he's a numbskull. Don't marry that guy. He's a grip, so he works on. So my life and my family and my love and my enjoyment all come together, and there it is, up in a movie that people will watch, and it will have a positive effect on them as well.
I mean, that's a great way of looking at it. I mean, like, I'm to that point now where, my son comes and helps run events. My youngest does our graphic design work. And I love that. Like,
it's exactly what I'm doing. Why wouldn't we do it? People, Andy always hires his son.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Now,
only
place I don't want to see it anymore, ever again, I don't want to see anybody else who is related to someone else. I don't care if it was your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, your brother, your sister, your wife, your son. I don't want to see anybody running our country who has been related to anyone else who ran our country. I don't want you to be former wife of. I don't want you to be the daughter of or the son of. Get out. You've done it. You've ruined it. Let another family ruin
it. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only place. But I love having my children around me. I love it because they're nice kids. Yours sound like nice kids. And you had the wherewithal. See, if Buster wanted to be an actor, what he said, that's my son's name, Buster. He said, that's kind of my second fallback. And, his sister and I were like,
that's so funny.
That's how I would approach it based on how easy you see that it is for me all the time. I think having it be your second fallback will make you a working actor one day, as opposed to those guys who wake up in the morning and all they want to do is act.
Do they kind of have a different look at acting because you're an actor? I remember I interviewed Sean Whalen.
Oh, Sean's a great friend of mine.
Yeah. And
our kids are all the same age.
He was talking about how his daughter was watching Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he hears from the other room, "Ugh, I forgot you're in this."
Yeah, I'm sorry to be such a disappointment to you. By the way, get up off that couch, because Always Sunny in Philadelphia bought it.
Yeah.
Right. My former wife, the mother of my 2 beautiful children, would say, "You're not funny," and I'd say, "Au contraire, I have irrefutable proof that I'm funny. You're living in it.
Yeah.
You're eating it. You drive in it. We send our children to Catholic school because of it. This stuff didn't happen because I dig bitches. It happened because I'm funny. Even when I'm playing a dramatic role, I'm funny on the set, and people are like, he's fun to have around. Let's give him another dramatic role." That's why I keep working with Rob Zombie and Doc Oscarelli and all these other people, because it doesn't matter if it's they're killing me with a hatchet, I'm still making everybody laugh.
Right. Now you said you did a documentary about like collecting horror memorabilia and whatnot.
Yeah.
I used to own a comic book shop, so I'm a big nerd myself. Is that something that you've always done? Is that something that you have gotten into because of the movies, or?
No, I've always, from the time I was a kid, like we read Famous Monsters of Filmland.
Oh yeah, sure.
So you know the magazine, right?
Yeah.
And so when you read that magazine, you not only learned that it was imperative that you know what the monster movies were, you also looked at Forey Ackerman's house, and he had, layer upon layer of stuff that you could own, right?
Yep.
So that was kind of my my impetus for collecting. And so, like I showed you that, so here's other stuff that's just around because I'm getting ready for something. So there's me in Halloween 2.
Nice.
There's a doll of me in Halloween 2. These all came out of the fact that it's going to be a while before there's dolls from
the Grandpa Munster.
movie.
Nice.
But I needed to have some, so I found a doll maker, and we
cool
dolls. And now I'm such a nut for it. I've got my wife. Here, look at this. Remember? Oh
no! Oh, wow! That was before my time. Lidsville.
But this guy did. He wanted to put out the doll, so I found my wife, who's also a genius. To get a free doll. she does the card art for him.
Oh, nice. Was there? I don't want to use the term steal. Was there any collectible you borrowed from the set of the Monsters?
Yes, but it's okay because I tried to get my costume into my contract, and they said no. But I knew something, as well as the producers and Rob, if we needed to reshoot, me knowing where my costume was, so I could just go to the closet and get it, make all of that so much easier than sending someone to Budapest or to the assets in a storage facility. So I have a costume.
It seems like
it's mine. It was made for me. It was fitted to me. It was built on me. No one else can use it. So why not protect it?
It seems like that's a very common actor thing to do, to take little bits of set or little trinkets to kind of remember what it's like. Or
and I mean it's an interesting thing for me beyond everything else, because I'm if you look around my house there, you can see there's a
creature. That's awesome.
Over here, there's, I don't know.
Is that a Planet of the Apes?
There's Roddy McDowell from.
Oh wow!
I mean, we don't screw around here. Facing me are two other Planet of the Apes, and there's Planet of the Apes back there. Like I actually have, there could one day be a count standing in the corner here greeting people when they come in.
So I feel like collecting is something that very much came, of our generation.
Your mom and dad didn't.
Right? No. Like what's the difference? Like, why does our generation?
Because our generation, we're the first generation raised on the saturation of media. Your dad and my dad had comic books, and every now and again, when they were little kids, there were cereals with Superman or Batman or Captain
Coat of Rings or whatever. Yeah.
It was, once they could mass produce this stuff, because I grew up. I wish I had something here. Well, I have, we had this character, Captain Action.
Oh yeah.
Right. So they've redone this, but I'm just going to put this here. But I'm going to grab something. But for us, we were the first generation where, you could turn this doll into this doll.
Yep.
So, and it was because through the magic of, that whole thing, the G.I. Joe idea was based on the Barbie idea, which was, you ever hear the razor blade theory?
No.
So you sell them the razor, but they have
by the razor blades. Right. Yeah.
And so that's what this is. They sell you a doll.
Yep.
And then you have to buy the blades.
Right. You have to buy the guns and
the accoutrement.
Yeah. And
So
what was it? Was
we
it
were
Big Jim? Big Jim was the other one, right?
Oh, Big Jim.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
How old are you?
47.
All right. So Big Jim, you were right at the end of Big Jim.
I was right at the end of Big Jim. I was at just the right age to get into the 3 3/4 inch GI Joe. That was my bread and butter.
The Cobra and all that.
Yep.
Yeah. So those of us of my generation had 12-inch GI Joes, Andy. But so I think that's why we could collect. Well, we could have it because we did, and then we all got to a point where, once nostalgia was in, because nostalgia wasn't in until the Happy Days, when we looked in 1974 and we looked at 1954, which was only 20 years earlier, and it was a completely different world.
Mm-hmm.
What's freaking weird is, 24 years before now was 1998. It really didn't look that different. The cars didn't look that different. The clothing didn't look that different. It was a radical change in those other 20 years. So, I think we're nostalgists. And I know most people who collect monster toys are of a certain age. They're between 70 and the classic collectors, 70 and 52, 53. And the bulk of the monster toys kind of disappeared about 1982, 83.
Yep.
So we all had to have access to those toys, and then we're rebuying it. But now, it's kind of fun that, and this is the other thing, going back to the Munsters. The Munsters is made for the next generation. So, wake up, people. It's the next generation. That's why the Addams Family has actually, their iterations are cartoons already.
Right.
Because they're trying to get the kids to watch it as cartoons, but at least ours is a live action movie.
I really love talking to people like yourself, where you kind of get that the consumer end and the creative side.
Yes, 100%. And like Rob Zombie is a very high performing kind of smart filmmaker.
And a big collector too.
He likes stuff, but Universal wasn't like, like he still had to pitch Universal, and he still had to get them on board, and they still had to say yes. And believe me, they were thrilled to have the guy bring his vision to this thing. Just like Ryan Gosling's doing a new version of the Wolfman. That's going to be.
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, I think it's his idea. He's starring in it.
Are they going to try to make it? I remember they were doing, like, when they did the brain work, the Tom Cruise Mummy thing, where they tried to make the cinematic universe kind of thing.
Yeah, the dark universe failed, unfortunately. Maybe they overreached it. Maybe it was a little too big, a little too fast. Maybe they should have considered it more in some way. I don't know. It's unfortunate. Look, we have all these Marvel movies. Do you know why? I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
It's 3 words. Robert Downey Jr.
For sure.
If he did not get all those people to see Iron Man, none of this other stuff, it would have come out in drips and drabs. But it took Robert Downey Jr. to spark the entire thing. So it's unfortunate that they did not have that luck with the Mummy. They just weren't able to pull it off. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But, and Tom Cruise is a very entertaining actor, but it didn't spark it like Robert Downey Jr. sparked it with Iron Man. And Favreau too. You got to give him all.
Yeah, and I think people forget that, like, at that time, Iron Man was at best a B-list superhero.
Yeah, it was the 10th most interesting character in the Marvel universe. It was really a weird. It took whoever, you got to credit whoever came up with that idea, and it's from that all else sprung forward.
Right. So I think it was a matter of, it was the only property, or the biggest property they still own the rights to.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
interesting, and that's why. Oh, interesting.
Because everything else had been, Fantastic Four and Ghost Rider were under Fox, X-Men were under Fox, Spider-Man was Sony, so it was the biggest character that they had left to work with.
That they could work with. Well, and they, made it. I mean, they made it brilliant, and then using Tony Stark as the center tentpole of all the other ideas. I mean, you got to hand it to all those creative writers, genius writers who did everything. Hey, you want to hear a good writer Marvel story?
Yes.
Okay. So it's just, I don't know that I've ever told this story publicly, but it's such a fun story. So I'm blessed that I have a brother-in-law who's very talented named Corey Garria. And he shot my first movie, Getting Grace, for me. But he is a gaffer of great note and a director of photography. He gaffed all the Chris Nolan Batman movies, Inception, all those big Chris Nolan movies. He gaffed. And he did Thor, the one that Kenneth Branagh directed. And so he was working on another movie. And he couldn't take his son Cole to the premiere. So I took, I'll take the role. I'll take the premiere. So I go to the movie, and it's a big movie, and it's, a little long, and I got to go to the bathroom. So I make my way down to the toilet in the bottom of the El Capitan Theater. No one's in it because it's the middle of the movie. And I go about my standing business, and the door opens, and Thor walks in. Because he too has to urinate in the middle of his movie. Now, I tell this story, and I think only another dude understands. So, ladies, if you're listening, the way it works is if there's 4 standing urinals, you grab the one furthest away. The next guy's responsibility is to not stand right next to you.
Correct.
Responsibility. Am I right about this?
Yeah, you leave a gap.
You leave a gap. There's a gap. You never stand next to the other guy. So Chris Hemsworth comes in and stands right next to me, and I'm a tall man. This guy is gorgeous.
Yeah.
He's like 6'4". He's gorgeous. And I'm a little tempted to peek. I'm going to be honest with you. He was a little too close. Because he's Thor. He's a god. He is a god. He's a good guy. So we do our business. We're washing up next to each other. And I say, this movie is so fantastic, because it was. Oh, thanks, Mike. That's so nice. I said, my brother-in-law is Corey Garriak. He gaffed the movie. Oh, is Corey here tonight? I said, no, he is. I'm here with his son. Oh, please tell him. I said, great. So we dry our hands. We shake. Godspeed. God bless you. Goodbye. He goes his way. I go my way. The movie's over. And there's the El Cap's lobby is about as wide as your kitchen.
Okay.
Seriously. I don't know who thought of this. So you're like, trying to get out of the theater. And this guy says, Dan, it's me. And I can't remember his name. He's a nice guy. He said, I was one of the writers on Agent Cody Banks. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good to meet you. How are you? Good. Oh, it's so, yeah, but those movies were great. I had a great time doing. Oh, it's so nice to see you. I said, what are you doing here? He goes, oh, I'm one of the writers on this. I was like, are you kidding me? You're the writer. It's so great. That's amazing. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I wish we could get a picture with Thor. That's going to be impossible. And dude, this is how you know there's a God. At that very moment, they're bringing Chris right next to us.
Yeah. And
I say, Chris. And he goes, yes, Dan. I said, hey, this guy's one of the guys who wrote the movie. Would you take a picture with him and his family? Oh, of course. I took the picture, and then I took him away. And the guy who wrote Cody Banks was like, but that's the kind of guy Chris Hemsworth is. And I will tell you, I went to the Avengers Part 1 premiere, and as they walk, when you're not in the movie, they have a red carpet, and you have like a chartreuse carpet that's next to them, where they kind of come on, because they don't want you like they don't want you get in their shots. So we're walking down the red carpet like simultaneously. And as we turn simultaneously, and I'm looking at him, and he looks at me, and he looked at me, and I could tell that he knew who I was, and he was like, and he went in, because he must have thought, is this freaking guy here every time I'm here? He's trying to meet me in the bathroom again? I'm not the one who stood in that
That's
stall.
Right. He stood next to you.
Stall.
Yeah.
Anyway, you like to have a conversations that meander around. There's a meandering.
Oh, absolutely. To me, those are the most.
A good guy. God bless him and all his success. He deserves all of it.
Outstanding. I feel like we just started talking, but we're like at 45 minutes now. When's the movie come out? It's going to Netflix? It's gonna be a Netflix thing,
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah. So the Munsters is going to be day and date release. It'll be on Netflix and on DVD and video on September 27th. As far as I know, it was always going to be a day and day release. All the rumors, Peacock, movie theater, $40 million budget. Wrong.
Yeah.
It wasn't dumped to Netflix. Netflix was who was always going to put it on. All this weird misinformation. So, and I think, we all celebrate Netflix. Now, whether you like Netflix or not, 55, 75 million people see your movie in one day. Well, you could never do that in a movie theater, not even if you book a movie theater and every screen in every movie theater.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it seems like a win-win to me.
I think a lot more people are willing to take a chance because in their mind, they're not paying for it, even though they already paid for it.
Right. And it's smart of Netflix. And I mean, if the movie does well, maybe one day they say, "Oh, Rob, can you do another one of those?" Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. I think that's great. Anything else? You said if you want to give that website again for that your movie.
Oh, thank you for asking. Channel of peace.org. Not for profit, faith-based making. Hey man, it's I just want. There's just so much anxiety and anger, and everybody's mad. I wouldn't it be nice if people weren't mad all the time? So I'm just trying to make movies that just like they'll be smart enough that your children who are older and you could sit down and watch them, but they'll also be funny enough that if a kid was 10 or 12, he could sit down and watch it with his parents. Remember when your kids were growing up? If you were anything like me, I'm a pretty open-minded guy, but I don't. There's stuff I never understood, like the movies that were coming out of not Pixar, but the other group over at Universal. They would say,
yeah,
they would say, "Damn it," and things like that. And I think, why is that in a cartoon? Like, what has that got to do with anything your children should be seeing or hearing? So, like, I'm just, there should be stuff appropriate for people of a certain age, and that's what I'm trying to make.
That's great. I think that's fantastic.
Not a very good artist. That's what I do while we were talking.
Oh, he's cute. So we have multiple shows here, and they have sign-offs, and Inebri-art here, this is like going to be episode 298, 99, something like that. And I don't have a good sign-off usually. I'm like, oh, see you next week or whatever. So let me ask you for advice. Like, what would a good sign-off for the podcast be?
Are you trying to fool me into, are you like some telemarketer trying to fool me into doing your sign-off?
No.
What is it called?
I do want to talk to you about your car's extended warranty, though.
Yeah, what have you? Is it Inebri-art?
Inebri-art, yeah.
And is this the 299th or
299th? I think it's 298. I believe is the episode.
All right. How about this? May I do this for you? May I?
Sure,
May I carry your burden? May I?
You can see through my gimmick. So yeah.
May I carry your cross for you?
Yeah.
So here it is. Hi, this is Daniel Roebuck, and you just listened to the 298th Inebri-art podcast. Aren't you lucky? And aren't I lucky? Because what a coincidence. 298. That's my IQ. So thanks for listening. And just remember, I'm smarter than everybody on the planet. And so is Andy. God bless you all.
Awesome. Thanks, man. And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at Inebri-art.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at Inebri-art.com. Thanks again for listening.